and in September we will have a next webinar. So I am James Roos from EnGenius Networks Europe, product manager, and working already 3.5 years for EnGenius here, responsible for the products, to give you information about our products. I will bridge data from headquarters to you guys. So today we are going to have a not so really long webinar. Actually, I try to make my webinar shorter, but I always want to talk a lot about a lot of stuff. I will try to make a short session today, just talking about WDS solutions in our row of webinars that are rolling out for the End Partner program. So just looking back, we had already a few webinars about our EWS, the neutron solution, and today I just want to talk about WDS solution, because I think WDS solution can be in many times a good solution for to use our to use our products in deployments. So the key points for today. I will start with the general introduction about WDS, and then I would like to go through the three main different kind of modes that we have in WDS solutions. So let's start here with my introduction about WDS, which stands for Wireless Distribution System. And it actually is a system enabling the wireless interconnection of access points in an IEEE 802.11 network. It allows a wireless network to be expanded using multiple access points without the traditional requirement for a wired backbone to link them. So in general, you make a hard link, I call it like hard link, to the MAC address of, or to the MAC address or between MAC addresses of an access point to establish a virtual backbone connection to replace the wired backbone that you would normally have when you have a wired connection. So basically there are three different WDS modes: WDS AP, WDS Bridge, and WDS Station. Depending on what kind of type of access point that you have, not all the modes are available in every model, so you have to check the specifications carefully before you want to deploy the devices in your setup. Okay, so why do we want to use WDS? Well, there are a few benefits here. The most important benefit of WDS is the notable advantage of that it preserves the MAC addresses of the client frames across the links between the access points. Well, this is in many cases required in both basic and advanced deployments, especially if you have if you want to use VLAN or you need authentication through a server, then you really need this kind of feature. You can use WDS in places where you have no option to connect access point by wire, because you actually make like a simulation of a wire, but over a wireless connection. So with dual band radio access points, you can create a transparent backhaul connection, for instance on 5 GHz, where you use the other radio, the 2.4 GHz radio, as endpoint access point to connect other clients. Of course, if you have benefits, there are also limitations. Well, the most important thing that we have to consider is that well, it needs the same chipset, or actually it's almost necessary to use the same chipset and even the same model of access point if you use the access points in WDS deployment. WDS mode is very sensitive if you talk about compatibility to work in an optimal way. This restriction for the protocol is not only EnGenius products, but also other brands encounter this limitation. The second limitation that we need to consider is that a WDS link, once you make a link between the access point, it consumes the data throughput. So it will decrease the network throughput since you're sharing it from the same resource. So also links behind each other. So if you want to make the WDS in series, if you want to use a bus topology, it will decrease the speed a lot. Well, generally, you will lose half of the speed each link that you are making. Yes, I will go more into that later. So let's see. Let's go through the different modes that we have. So the first mode that we have is WDS AP. WDS AP is a mode where you wirelessly link up access points to become one kind of, how to say, like a virtual access point. Let me just use this word. You link up all the access points. I can use my mouse here, and for a client, you will only see one SSID. You will only see one group, or actually one cluster of access points. And what you do in WDS, you kind of link up all the access points together, and it will become one group or grouped one virtual access point. And this can cover a bigger area without using cables to link up the access points together. And since you only need to, the link to the access points is wireless. So for instance, for this access point, you only need to have, power this up by electricity to power it up, and then you already you use the WDS link for your backbone connection. In WDS AP mode, one access point can only establish a maximum of 4 WDS links. A WDS link is a combination of access point 1 connected to linked to access point 2, and then access point 2 linked back to access point 1, and then this is one WDS link if you're talking about WDS AP. And in total, one WDS AP can make 4 links in total. You can in this case, in this picture, this access point is connected in the star topology. That means that multiple WDS access points are connected to one access point. You can connect them like this, but you can also connect them in series. That we call the bus topology, and it will look like this. But in both modes, the topology is here that all the access points will become one virtual access point. All access point needs to use the same channel, and the access points will be linked together to become one virtual AP. Clients only see one SSID consisting out of, it can be multiple access points, and the client can roam between them without the need of re-authentication. So the next slides, we will go through a few screenshots how to configure the WDS link between the 2 access points. So in case we link up 2 access points to become one virtual access point, well, just in this picture I show you 2 ECB 350s. We just go through the screenshots here. So what you have to do, actually, I just go through the slides here. We have to select the WDS access point mode, and what's very important is that we need to set up the IP address in the same subnet as the router for easy configuration. It's better to give the access point a fixed IP address, so you can always access the interface directly. The first thing that is very important is that we know what is the MAC address of the access point, because in WDS you use the MAC address to link the access points together. So in the main page, you can see, in this case, we have there's here indicated what is the WDS MAC address to be used. So for all access points, we have to do this. We have to record the MAC address here to see what it is, because in the next page, if we want to consider, if we want to configure or if we want to establish the bridge, then you can see here that here is the place where you enter the MAC address of the next access point, or actually the access point that you want to link up. And in this page, you can also see that in this WDS AP mode, you can establish 4 links, as I mentioned before. So in this access point, this particular access point, I can key in 4 MAC addresses to make 4 WDS links to connect to. So if I would go back to a previous slide, in this access point, I would have filled in the 1, 2, 3 MAC addresses of these access points. And in, for instance, this access point, I only have 1 MAC address filled in, the MAC address of this access point, to make the WDS link. Okay. What is important in WDS is that we have to, for 100% sure, we have to at least the channel needs to be the same, because all the access points need to work together. So at least the channel needs to be the same, and the SSID needs to be the same to establish the same SSID, the one virtual SSID that you want to use for your client. And also the encryption is preferably needs to be the same. At the end, in the status, all the links that are established and are working, you can see in the WDS link list. And in this case, the screenshot is an example that I have link number 1 is up, connected to this MAC address, and you see that the link is up, and you can also see the RSSI quality of the link. So conclusion here is for if you want to use WDS AP, WDS AP is the most typical deployment when you want to have a setup of a few access points, and you want to have it wirelessly interconnected. So it's mostly used as a backhaul connection on dual radio access points, for instance, the ENH 710 EXT and the ENH 900 EXT and the ENH 1750 EXT. And it's especially it's used outdoor, because outdoor is the place where you want to not use wires, because then you have to dig a hole in the sand and put the cables all up in the pole. So most of the time, typically is to be used outdoor. For indoor, normally the wiring is not so complicated. Well, it's recommended to use direct wired connection to PoE switches if you're doing an indoor deployment. And yeah, all indoor models like the EAP series and the ECP series are all PoE compliant, and then it's even more easier to use a PoE switch to directly wire the access points, and also meanwhile at the same time you power it with the PoE. And also even if we are the best wireless solution provider, wired is always better than a wireless connection. Okay, just an example here, as an example how to deploy a WDS solution here. Well, in this picture, we can see that this access point is the main access point to start, and this one is connected with to a network which is connected to the internet. You can see that there are 2 different colors of lines here. we have a purple line here, and we have some orange line here. And it's indicated here that we use purple lines for 5 gigahertz to make a backhaul using WDS solution, WDS AP in this case. This main access point has a WDS link to this access point, and this access point as well has a WDS link to this access point. This access point has a WDS link to that access point, and this access point has a WDS link between this access point. So we kind of have like a star and bus combination topology of this WDS solution, and this 5 gigahertz WDS backhaul, topology is used as a backhaul to provide the backhaul connection to be able to have a wireless endpoint access point to give wireless access to the clients on the 2.4 gigahertz radio. So here you can see that our clients connected to on 2.4 gigahertz radio, and also here there are clients connected to that access point. So this is kind of like a typical deployment how you can use WDS AP. Okay, WDS Bridge. Actually, WDS Bridge is the most popular, the second most popular topology that you can use. And with WDS Bridge, you can connect 2 access points together with a transparent bridge. When VLAN pass-through is enabled, also the VLAN tags will be passed through, and this is especially very important if you want to use, if you still want to use VLANs over a wireless network. It would be only possible if you use WDS Bridge. In general, there's no SSID that is being broadcasted, and there is just one what I call hard link between the 2 access points, where one access point is connected through to the other access point based on the MAC address, and vice versa. And the link will behave as a pure link, like a direct cable between the 2 wired networks. I have in this picture a wireless client indicating there is nothing to connect to, because there is actually no SSID broadcasted here. So this deployment is very suitable for bridging 2 buildings together, or linking cameras in a point-to-point or multi-point deployment, and even point-to-multipoint, because it's possible to make from one access point 8 WDS links if you have WDS bridge mode. Well, actually 8. In this example that I have, an ECB 350 has 8 possibilities to make a bridge, but depending on model, some models only have 4, the capability to only do 4 WDS bridge connections. So if you want to use it, you also need to verify the specifications of the models. So if you use WDS, if you use WDS bridge, you can maintain the traffic separation by VLAN. It's also very important. So typically, you should use directional access points for this point-to-point deployment. But like I said, point-to-multipoint is also an option. So in like 30% of the cases, it's also possible to use an omnidirectional access point as a central point where you have multiple bridges, and then you can use directional access points. For instance, you can use an ENH 1750 in the middle to make a WDS bridge connection with ENS. In this case, I would use the ENS 500 because I want to make a WDS bridge, preferably on 5 gigahertz to have less interference with other hotspots. Okay, so in real life, a connection could look like this. I have 2 switches here in the picture here, like I have in this schematic drawing. In this case, I have an example of 2 ECB 350s. And we'll go quickly through the screenshots here. Of course, we have to select the WDS Bridge mode. We have to go to the WDS link settings here. And this is the most important page where you actually put the WDS link settings in. So in this case, you can see that this list actually goes up to 8, where I can make 8 WDS bridge links. But in other models, there could be only 4 links available. To be honest, I know that I have some discussions there are some discussions with customers using WDS Bridge in a point-to-multipoint deployment, and preferably they would like to have more capability to make the WDS links. And we are still discussing and see the possibility if that is doable. Yes. So here in this slide, you can see again which links are up. So if I have 8 links up, then there will be 8 links listed here. So the conclusion for WDS Bridge. WDS Bridge is actually the ideal solution for a transparent bridge. Ideal for bridging 2 buildings together, or make a point-to-multipoint setups in IP surveillance. So in real life, schematically, this is like the most typical deployment where you want to use WDS Bridge. And maybe I could add another picture here with 2 buildings just connecting to each other with a single and pure WDS Bridge deployment. So the last mode is actually a funny mode. I try to make the picture, redo the picture again. Always difficult to understand. It's WDS Station, and WDS Station is actually like a combination of WDS Bridge and WDS AP. And you actually you have to use WDS Station if you want to make a connection to a WDS AP, because Bridge will only link to Bridge, and WDS AP normally only links up to another WDS AP to become one AP. Sometimes this is not what you want, and if you want to have a separate connection to connect to a WDS AP, then you have to use WDS Station. And the typical thing is here is that if you would have a WDS AP deployment, the WDS AP is still broadcasting an SSID. So that means that a wireless client can still make a connection to the WDS AP. And this could be actually 1 or even more access points. On the other hand, you can still make a WDS connection from another AP to the WDS AP, and then have a WDS link between the WDS AP and the WDS Station. Unfortunately, you still link up by the MAC address, but still you have to go through a construction of SSID, which is broadcasted by the WDS AP. So unfortunately, VLAN pass-through is not possible if you want to use WDS AP and WDS Station deployment. So we have to keep in mind that if you want to do a VLAN pass-through for a 100% through a 100% transparent bridge, you still have to use the WDS bridge. But if you want to connect to a WDS AP, then yeah, you have to use a WDS Station. So the last remark here is that WDS Station is not available in every model of EnGenius. So in the picture it looks like this. In this case I just connected my laptop directly here, but it can be any switch to go further in the network. The red cable connects to the network. Green cable is the link between the bridge and the client, which as I said can also be the other network. The client feels like it's connected by cable directly to the network. So in contradiction to the WDS bridge, in station mode you can connect with the station to a WDS access point. And like I said, VLAN is not possible to be used in this setup. Quickly go through the screenshots here. We can select the mode. We have to set. We have to connect here. So in this case, if we want to connect from a station to an WDS access point, we still have to do a site survey to find the SSID of the WDS AP that we want to connect to. So in the next slide, you can see that we are doing the site survey here, and in this case, I have my other EnGenius ECB 350 in WDS mode where I want to connect to. When I select this one, I can make the connection here and it will link up to the MAC address in this case. So at the end, this is also a screenshot, and I can see in the status that I'm connected to the WDS access point. Okay, so almost my last slide. Conclusion for WDS station mode. Well, actually, it's a kind of a rare mode that we don't use so many times, and it's also not available in all access points. So in general, for WDS modes, is the last sentence where I want to close with. So in general, for WDS modes, there are a few benefits and a few limitations that needs to be considered in advance. And yeah, every time that you want to deploy our EnGenius products in a deployment, you have to be very careful in what is possible to do. Please note that the specifications between different models that we have are not the same. So you have to be checking, okay, I can make 4 bridges or I can make 8 bridges. Please check that before you encounter limitations, because of some things are just not in there. But in general, WDS, I think it's a very useful mode. Like we said, especially WDS AP mode, if you want to have like a repeater kind of deployment, especially outdoors. And of course, the WDS bridge mode, very important for bridging buildings and point-to-multipoint deployments. Okay. Yeah, with these words, I would like to close my webinar for today. So it's like, I see I only had I've talked for half an hour. I will leave this webinar open for a few minutes to in the chat box. You can post your question. I will talk with Mark. I will discuss with him to answer your questions after this webinar. Yeah, so you can still post some questions here, and if you have any other questions, you can just contact me directly or your standard contact person. Just ask your questions, even if there's other questions not about WDS or any other questions. Just please contact us. we are welcome to help you. So I wish everybody a very nice holiday season here, and hope that everything is fine for you guys in this nice summer. So like I said, I will leave the webinar open for a few minutes. I hope to see you back in September, where I have a webinar of the Easy Master. That will be the webinar in September will be the last webinar in a row of 7, and then after that I will start again with the same series of webinar to repeat. Feel free to still join those webinars, because I will still update the presentations with new products and maybe new case studies or maybe new deployments. So also after summer, I welcome you for all the webinars again. So I'm very happy to see you here in this webinar. And yeah, if you have, like I said, if you have any more questions, I keep the webinar open for a few minutes, and I hope to see you soon again. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.